September 16th, 2025. This summer has been a brutal reminder that extreme weather doesn't just strike once. In the span of a single season, Colorado, Georgia, Louisiana, and Florida were all rocked by storms that upended daily life. In Denver, hailstones the size of golf balls tore through roofs and left thousands of cars looking like they'd been pounded with sledgehammers. Hours later in Atlanta, commuters found themselves dodging ice chunks on I-75 as the highway turned into a hazard zone. Farther south, Louisiana residents stood in shock as hail fell in tropical 80-degree heat, a phenomenon almost unheard of in the region. And in Florida, relentless rains dumped up to 5 inches in 24 hours, leaving entire neighborhoods underwater. None of these storms alone would qualify as a national disaster, but together, they paint a clear picture. America's weather is shifting, and the stakes are rising.
Ice. Look at the amount of hail.
The wave of storms unfolded like a chain reaction across 4 states each, leaving its own mark of destruction. Colorado was first. By mid-afternoon, towering thunderheads swept into Denver. Within minutes, golf ball-sized hailstones hammered homes, shattered car windows, and shredded gardens. More than 2,000 vehicles were damaged, and over 300 homes reported roof punctures and broken siding. Denver International Airport scrambled to delay nearly 90 flights, while downtown streets looked like a winter battlefield covered in ice despite the summer heat. Georgia was next. Just after 5:30 p.m., Atlanta's rush hour turned chaotic. Winds gusting near 70 mph and hail up to an inch in diameter forced drivers to abandon vehicles on I-75. Pileups and broken glass littered the highway, and dozens of flights were grounded at Hartsfield-Jackson. Louisiana felt the storm by nightfall. Baton Rouge and Lafayette residents were stunned as hail fell in 82-degree tropical air. Slippery roads caused at least a dozen wrecks, while festivals and outdoor events ended in panic. Finally, Florida saw relentless rain, 3 to 5 inches in just 24 hours. Streets in Miami, Orlando, and Tampa turned into rivers, forcing 1,500 fire residents to evacuate. Schools shut down, businesses closed, and traffic crawled to a halt as floodwaters spread.
All the trees, cars, people's roofs.
As the skies turned violent, emergency systems across 4 states were pushed to their limits. In Denver, 911 operators were overwhelmed with reports of people trapped in vehicles' roofs, collapsing under hail, and power lines crashing onto streets. Fire crews carried out 18 water rescues in just a few hours as flash flooding cut off key intersections. One neighbor described forming a human chain to guide a stranded family across waist-deep water. In Atlanta, dispatchers received more than 1,200 calls in a single night. Police urged drivers to stay inside their vehicles as shattered glass and flying debris turned highways into danger zones. In one viral clip, commuters abandoned their cars and took shelter beneath an overpass while hailstones pounded the pavement like machine gun fire. In Louisiana, firefighters rushed to pull families from flooded homes as the hail melted into torrents of water that overwhelmed drainage canals. In Baton Rouge, a father was seen lifting his toddler above rising water, shouting for help, until a rescue boat arrived. And in Florida, shelters opened in schools and churches as evacuees arrived soaked and exhausted. Volunteers handed out bottled water blankets and phone chargers. Despite the chaos, one thing was clear: community resilience. Strangers became lifelines, proving once again that in the darkest storms, human courage shines brightest.
When I say I was just in this shit, y'all, West side, man.
Meteorologists say this week's outbreak wasn't random. It was the product of a perfect storm of conditions. Over the Rockies, a strong cold front surged south, colliding with hot moisture-rich air rising from the Gulf of Mexico. This clash created explosive instability in the atmosphere. Meanwhile, the jet stream overhead added vertical wind shear, the twisting winds that fuel supercells capable of producing large hail and damaging gusts. In Colorado, the thinner air over higher elevations allowed hailstones to grow bigger before falling. That's why Denver saw stones as large as golf balls, some weighing more than 2 ounces, smashing cars and rooftops. Farther south in Georgia and Louisiana, extreme heat primed the air for violent updrafts. Hailstones an inch or more in diameter fell in places where most residents expected only heavy rain. In Florida, the humid subtropical climate supercharged the rainfall, training thunderstorms, storms forming over the same area again and again, dumped 3 to 5 inches in a single day, overwhelming city drainage systems. Climate scientists warn that these aren't once-in-a-lifetime events anymore. Warmer air holds more water vapor, leading to heavier downpours and larger hail. Rising sea surface temperatures also provide more fuel for these extreme systems, setting the stage for storms that are stronger, faster, and more destructive than in past decades. The storms left behind more than shattered glass and damaged property. They left scars on families and communities. In Austin, a man attempting to cross a flooded low-water crossing was swept away by currents moving faster than 15 miles per hour. His body was found downstream hours later. In Amarillo, flying debris from baseball-sized hail claimed the life of a delivery driver, whose van was crushed in the chaos. Across the South, dozens were hospitalized with broken bones, head injuries, and deep lacerations caused by hailstones the size of fists. But amid the tragedy, resilience emerged. Churches opened their doors as shelters, filling gymnasiums with cots, bottled water, and hot meals. In Denver, high school students volunteered through the night, clearing fallen branches from blocked roads. In Baton Rouge, a group of neighbors linked arms in waist-deep water to help an elderly woman reach safety. Her whispered prayers captured in a video that spread across social media. Fundraisers sprang up within hours. Online campaigns raised tens of thousands of dollars to replace cars, repair homes, and support families facing medical bills. For many, the message was clear. Recovery isn't just about rebuilding walls and roofs. It's about lifting each other up when the skies fall apart. The economic toll of these storms is staggering. Early estimates place losses in the hundreds of millions of dollars across Texas, Colorado, Georgia, Louisiana, and Florida. In Austin, thousands of cars were destroyed by hail, their windshields shattered, and body panels dented beyond repair. Insurance companies reported more than 25,000 claims in the first 48 hours, straining adjusters already dealing with previous disasters. North of downtown, entire apartment complexes required emergency roof repairs, with tenants forced to relocate into temporary housing. In Amarillo, warehouses and industrial districts were left riddled with roof punctures. The shutdown of Interstate 40 after a major semi-truck crash disrupted shipping routes for hours, costing trucking companies millions. Meanwhile, in Florida, floodwaters swamped local businesses. Restaurants and retail shops lost entire inventories within minutes, as storm drains backed up and streets filled with several feet of water. Public infrastructure took a direct hit. More than 140 bridges and culverts across the affected states are undergoing safety inspections. Utility companies scrambled to restore power to over 100,000 customers, deploying thousands of workers from neighboring regions. Federal and state disaster declarations have unlocked aid, but recovery won't be quick. Officials warn rebuilding could take months, and for some communities, even longer.
What the fuck?
Meteorologists say these storms weren't random outbursts. They were the product of a perfect storm setup. A surge of warm, moisture-rich air from the Gulf of Mexico collided with a cold front diving southward across the plains. Above, strong jet stream winds created powerful vertical wind shear, fueling supercells capable of producing long-lasting hail and destructive winds. In Amarillo radar, confirmed hail cores nearly 3 inches in diameter, while in Austin, updraft strong enough to hold baseball-sized hail aloft for several minutes made the destruction inevitable. But experts stress it's not just bad luck. Climatologists point to a warming atmosphere that can hold 7% more moisture for every 1 degree Celsius increase in temperature. That means heavier rainfall in shorter bursts and more fuel for violent hail formation. In addition, hotter summers across the high plains and south amplify instability, increasing the odds of supercells turning extreme. While no single storm can be directly blamed on climate change, the pattern is undeniable. Short-duration, high-intensity storms are hitting more frequently and leaving bigger damage footprints. As one Texas Tech scientist put it, what used to be once-in-a-decade hail events are now showing up every few years. The takeaway is sobering. These aren't isolated freak events. They're signals of a stormier future. If there's one lesson from these back-to-back Texas storms, it's that preparedness is no longer optional. Officials in Austin are pushing for stronger building codes to withstand hail impacts, reinforced roofing materials, shatter-resistant windows, and stricter construction standards in flood-prone zones. In Amarillo, transportation engineers are urging upgrades to drainage systems and highway design after hail and floodwater combined to shut down 20 miles of Interstate 40 in a matter of minutes. Emergency managers are also calling for improved early warning systems. Many residents reported receiving alerts too late or not at all, highlighting gaps in communication during fast-moving events. NOAA and local agencies are now considering expanded radar coverage and upgraded river gauges to give communities more lead time. But beyond infrastructure, the cultural shift may be just as critical. Texans are known for resilience, but experts say resilience also means changing habits. Knowing evacuation routes, stocking emergency kits, parking vehicles under cover, and never underestimating flash flood warnings. As climate patterns shift, these storms are not anomalies, they're previews. The communities that adapt fastest will not only survive, but minimize the losses when the next supercell or flash flood strikes. The bottom line, prepare now, because tomorrow's storm won't wait.
It's handling too.
As of September 16, 2025, communities from Colorado to Florida are still sweeping glass-pumping water and patching roofs. The scars are fresh, shattered windows, collapsed roofs, flooded streets, and families grieving, loved ones lost. But these storms carried a message louder than the thunder. This is not just weather, it's a warning. When baseball-sized hail can shred neighborhoods in minutes and floodwaters can rise 26 feet in under an hour, survival depends on more than luck. It depends on awareness, preparation, and community strength. So ask yourself, would you know what to do if a storm like this struck your town tonight? If this report opened your eyes, please hit the like button, share this video with friends and family, and subscribe so you never miss our next deep dive into extreme weather. Because the next storm is coming, and being ready could save lives.